Okay, I know that this video may seem a little underrated. Well, most of my videos do. But I just had to make a video about this because All-Star 7, the first two episodes, oh my fucking god. I'm currently working on a video about season 14 and why it was a good season, but why it was essentially a filler season. I think that's gonna come out in like next week. I'm not really sure, I'm really busy. But All-Star 7 is must-see TV at this point. I cannot believe that the same people that made season 14 and pretty much every other Drag Race season since like All Stars 3 has also worked on this season. Like, what? You guys had all of this in you and you didn't apply to all of those other seasons? Like, what the fuck? I mean, most of this enjoyment does come from the cast, which I'm enjoying more and more every single time that I see them on that show. But the twist and the format and just the way that the entire show is edited and the gags and the jokes, they're just so funny. Like, it's good. It's so enjoyable to watch. Personally, obviously, I mean, you can clearly tell I loved these two first episodes. The format that has like no low placement seemingly is very refreshing because we're actually just watching a season of 8 artists compete and all of them being praised for their art, for their skills, for their general diversity in drag. Even the judges seem to be having a better time because they don't have to pull nonsensical negative critiques just for the sake of them. If there ever is a negative critique, it's said during the deliberations when the queens aren't there so that they can't feel bad about it, which I bet is also really good on the queens. Like, I bet that they do appreciate, the constant praise that I get on there because they're the winners. They should be praised heavily, and hopefully it won't go into their head, or that's not the expression, but you know what I mean. Again, it's just so fucking refreshing to watch that. The whole earning badges thing, and then the top 4 queens that, have those badges will lip sync for the crown in the finale. I also enjoyed that because it's like kind of what they did for Survivor Winners at War. They had the fire tokens, and that was kind of like a thing that can help you in the game, but also it can hinder you depending on, how many you have. And here is the same, like the queens clearly know who the front runners are. There isn't any of that like, oh well, I have 3 wins but 7 bottom 2 placements, but also I fucked RuPaul in the bathroom stall. It's a very valid way to look at who is actually like at the top there. Obviously I am still keeping like a table for everything, and I'm still not sure if there are going to be lower placements. Like, the lowest thing that we have for now is safe, so I have to decide if I'm just going to change the point system from like 0 to 6 that it is here to like 0 to 3. But honestly, I do kind of prefer the 0 to 6 because it just shows you how great these queens are. Because, nobody will ever get less than 3 points per episode, which is cool, yeah. The only thing that I would change is that there isn't a top 2, but a bottom 2 that has to fight who won't be blocked next week from receiving the badge. But then that does also make it harder because then only 1 person per episode will get a badge, just simply by design. So then you could technically get till the end of the season with only 1 person having a badge. So I haven't really worked out that kind of a thing. This twist and this format is so good. Just fantastic. Honestly, it's so enjoyable to watch. The length of the episodes, it doesn't bother me as much because the cast is really enjoyable, and I think it's because there are a lot of older season queens that don't try to present a certain thing to the audience. There was a little scene between Monét and Jinkx when they were talking about who's going to do whom for Snatch Game, and Jinkx was like, oh, I'm doing this and this, and she was just like joking around, and Monét, who's like a newer seasoned queen who has to think about like, social justice warriors and all of that stuff, is like, oh, you should do that, and it's blackface, and they're going to cancel you, haha. Like, that was her joke. It was like, you can clearly tell like who's from the older side of Drag Race that's like more fun, that's more based on talent, and who's more of this newer timeline of Drag Race where people are more thinking about the social repercussions of their time on the show, which you know how I feel about those. And honestly, the only truly negative thing that I have to say about this show is having Naomi Campbell on. Like, I know for people she's like an icon, but guys, look into what she's allegedly done. I'm not gonna name any names, but just like look her up. Anyways, I also want to talk a bit about the cast. So for me, Jinkx is at the top. She won this season last night with her Snatch game. Her Judy Garland was like so fucking funny. And listen, this is coming from a person that's only seen Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz, so I have literally no knowledge of her past that. And so Jinkx made her funny to me, and I could understand her properly. Also, when she called Rue Room, that was such a dumb joke, but I screamed, laughed. Like, it was that fucking funny. And her Natasha Lyonne, again, so good. Like what Michelle said, Natasha Lyonne is a character, like the way that she presents herself, of course, is a character in herself. So the fact that Jinkx was able to make her own, in a way, crown her already, just crown her. And also Jinx's runways, surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, she has money now, but they're really good as well. Obviously, they're not like at the top level, like with the likes of Raja and Monét. I'm only saying that because of the brown runway from episode 2, but that was such a good look that I was like, oh, she's the one to look out for also. Then who also do I like? I love Raja. I think that Raja just came to show, again, like I said in my preseason ranking of these queens, she came to show why she won, and that yes, sure, she was Rue's friend and she knew everybody backstage and all of that stuff, and that sure did help her win, obviously, but it wasn't just that. Like, she's a fantastic queen, she's a fantastic person also, clearly. She knows her strengths, she even knows her weaknesses, if there even are any. I haven't seen any yet. Trinity killing it, of course, giving you some of the best TV ever. I like that she can make fun of herself, and I like that she's playing the game very smartly. Also, props to Shea on blocking Trinity. Like, she knew that Trinity would be like her biggest competition, or at least one of her biggest competitors there. Competitions there, I don't know, words. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Trinity ended up winning this season. I don't think it will happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up winning it. Now, this might be the season that makes me like Monét again. With her winning, and then just like her attitude after winning, kind of trying to equate her win to everybody else's win, was just like, no, like, can you be that delusional? But then on this season, she's fun. She's enjoyable to watch again. Who knows, also, maybe I will be able to see what everybody sees in Shea. I'm not optimistic about it. But it might happen, who knows. I'm hoping that my girls Jaida and Yvie have a good episode next week. And Vivienne. Oh, she came in with the biggest pressure on her to do great, and she's been somewhat there. She's been somewhat doing good, but nowhere near the level of UK1, which is understandable because she's the only foreign queen that's coming into the show, and she's the only one that doesn't have previous relationships with all of these other queens. I mean, they probably have talked and, worked together. Now, I would also like to read some of the comments from you guys. So from Patreon, we have a comment from Max, and Max about this season says that he also loves the strategic element of blocking a queen each next week a lot. So do I. I think it's a very smart choice to include it into the show. Now, Kumikens also wrote a comment saying that he might be cancelled. That's my thing. Please don't steal my thing. But am I the only one who doesn't think Jinkx's Snatch game was the best Snatch game in history? I still think that her Little Edie, Alaska's Mae West, and Dayla's both Snatch games are better than her Judy's. I think that we just didn't see enough of Judy, maybe, to kind of say that she was the best, or at least that she was on the same level as these other three, especially because pretty much everybody on this Snatch game was edited to be good, to appear good at least. He continues saying, and to me, Trinity was good in both Snatch games, while Jinkx was good only in her Judy. I don't fully agree with that, but yeah, valid opinion, sure. Also loved Raja's Madame so much. Same. As for the premiere, the mixing of the song was so bad, I did not enjoy the performance because I was glued to the screen trying to make up the words the queens were singing. Shame, since lyrics seemed to be good, but the mixing was not this. Yeah, that was kind of the biggest problem, that the song did seem kind of rushed, and you couldn't really hear the queens, and when the judges in the, deliberations were like, oh, oh, Trinity didn't really know her words. And I was like, maybe she didn't hear them. I mean, she did write them, but like you have to hear what you're lip syncing to. I don't know. And lastly, Kumika says, but generally, I'm loving the season. The no eliminations blocking twist. As Jaida said, the format lets them have fun and take risks and show parts of them that they never did. And it makes for a much better season than an overly produced season. I'm excited for the rest of the season a lot. I hope my queen Yvie wins the ball next week. Same. And that's it. That's the video. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. What are your thoughts on this season? Are you enjoying it so far? Who are your favorites? My favorites are Jinkx and Raja. Nothing has changed. Thank you for watching.